And welcome, the Krueg Show post-game edition. Am I hearing music in the headphones? Look at that. Oh, man. Because I'm hearing the music, I'm not hearing Marty.
I walk-up music,
Is that your walk-up music?
Yeah.
Well, we should welcome everybody to the Krueg Show. Happy, I don't know if it was happy, but hope everybody enjoyed Giants baseball tonight. Game 1, Giants Padres, goes to the Padres 4-2, and we got a lot to talk about because there were so many parts of this ball game that were so intriguing. And of course, we want to hear from you. Len will eventually put the link in the chat, and we'll take some video calls. We'll read the chats. People want to make donations. We got the great Marty Lurie in the house. If you have a special question for Marty, make sure you attach a nice little donation to it, because we have a lot of people who want to get in tonight and talk to Marty. And then the Sween Dog's going to join us. Mark Sweeney, I believe, is going to join us. He's got Padre post-game duties himself. So when that's done, he's going to come on over here and we're enjoying our post-game after Giants baseball. But Alex Wood today against Nick Martinez, and Martinez pitched last year in Japan, 10-5 in Japan. And why don't we start right there, Marty? And I welcome to the show. And we've done a number of live streams with you, Marty, and the last one was epic when we got into a 20-minute back and forth on Willie Mays. I love that. I tweeted it out, and I got a great reaction to it. So thanks for coming back, and we love talking Giants baseball with you. It's a real treat to get you after the game, man.
Yeah, come on. It's been a few years since I've done this, on the post-game show. But you and I have done this for years. When you had the post-game show, I would call you up and talk to you. So I'm glad to be on with you. The game, 4-2, it had a million twists and turns, but the first is Martinez, as you say, Nick Martinez. Nick, I think it's Nick Martinez.
Yeah.
The guy had nothing early on, and then all of a sudden, I thought they were going to light him up. And all of a sudden, he got that cutter, and he got confidence and got 2 more innings out of him. But it looked to me like the Giants had him on the ropes in the first inning, and they just let him get away. And we'll talk about that. But for me, 5 innings, his last 2, he had good command.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants, if you look at this game, the Giants threatened in the first, didn't score. Peterson struck out, Crawford popped out. They threatened in the second and did score, but I mean, they had second and third with nobody out, and they only got 1 run in that inning. Yaz eventually struck out looking to end that second inning. They had 2 guys on in the third, and Crawford hit into a double play to end that threat. The 4th inning was quiet. The 5th inning was quiet. But then you go to the 6th inning, they scored. Peterson reached on the bunt single. Crawford singled to center. You had 2 on, nobody out. Estrada then kind of derails that inning with the double play. Otherwise, that could have been a big inning. They threatened again in the 7th, and then the incredible catch by Profar on the track. We got to get to that. That thing was a thing of beauty if you're a Padres fan. And then they threatened in the 8th. I thought the best highlight of the night for me, Marty, was Duggar's walk against Pierce Johnson. He was down 0-2. It was a great AB to extend the inning. And then I'm thinking they're going to pinch hit Elliott Ramos right there for Dubon. And instead, he's got Dubon playing third. And maybe he just didn't have an answer for who to put at third. I wasn't thinking who would play third, but I wanted to see Elliott Ramos right there. Instead, Pierce Johnson just blew away Dubon.
No, you're going to save Ramos for the 9th inning because you're getting a lefty. Tyler, was it Taylor?
Okay.
So
Taylor, yeah.
But and I don't know the answer to this. And this is one of the problems of not being there. I don't know if Flores was available, because how do you not hit Flores for Dubon with the bases loaded at that point? I mean, you want a right-handed hitter up who can really do some damage, and Flores is much more effective than Dubon. I thought that was big there. But Larry, what happened tonight? They had 3 instances with a runner on third and less than 2 out.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get him in. This is fundamental baseball. Look, you've coached baseball. I've done it as well. We've watched a million games. They had bases loaded from time to time. But runners on third with less than 2 out, they couldn't get him in. Peterson strikes out in the first inning with first and third. Crawford then popped out, and you went through this. Second and third, Duggar, boy, he had a tough night, let me tell you, until the walk. And I thought they were going to pinch hit for him there, the last time. But he strikes out with second and third. Dubon hits the ball hard, sacrifice fly. Then Yaz, who finally got a hit tonight, made 2 plays in the field that were interesting. In the third inning, you've got first and third, and Crawford, who really is struggling as well, but then ended up with 2 hits the other way, and that's what he's got to do. He hits into a double play. So 3 instances, 3, with a runner on third and less than 2 out, and they couldn't get him in. Then on the ball that was hit to Rogers, and this is where the Padres scored that run. The ball was hit to Rogers, and he didn't know what to do with it. He didn't. He
was thinking. This is the thing. It's the 7th inning. It's the 7th inning in a 2-2 game. You have a runner on third. His first instinct was to look at second base and to go for the double play. You got to see that runner coming down from third. You got that play in front of you. If you're decisive, that's an easy out at the plate. You have to cut off the run. You can't guarantee that you're going to go second to first double play. That was way too ambitious there. That was a mental error.
Yeah, you're not going to throw Machado out on a double play there. He taps the ball. He knows enough that he's a good base runner. He tagged up on the foul ball to Yastrzemski. The Padres did that twice. I was impressed with that. But, yeah, Rogers has the ball. He never looks at the plate.
No.
Starts going to second. Now he drops the ball.
Right.
Got to go to first.
Barely got the out at first.
Yeah, and that was just panic. It was inexperience for him. And so those were the 4 things tonight, I think, that turned the game. Those are the things that turned the game. And the Profar catch, because Ruff hit it, I said to myself, that's gone. I've seen that swing a million times. You know what this reminded me of tonight? It reminded me of Candlestick. Remember Dale Murphy?
Murphy. I do remember Dale Murphy.
To left field. I mean, he used to hit shots to left field, and it would be like a curtain would go up and stop the ball. And that's what tonight looked like at the park. There are a couple of balls that were hit hard that they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Ruff hit that ball. He nutted that. He hit it 395. That's got to be out of about, I don't know, 2/3 of the yards in the big leagues. I mean, that thing's gone in almost every yard in the big leagues. And instead, as you said, the force field of the wind knocked it down probably. And Profar had a chance to make a play on it, and credit him. He made a diving catch. It was an incredible catch. Isn't it funny, Marty, how we watch so many games, and yet in one game sometimes you'll have some of the greatest defensive plays in some cases the park's ever seen. I don't want to say that necessarily about Profar's ball, but the Yaz head first dive down the right field line, the first one, I mean, the one into the net was an incredible catch, but the one where he dove head first, I mean, he sold out. This is a guy who's struggling at the plate, and he knows he's in there to play defense as well, and he took an out away. He took some outs away tonight in the field. But both those plays, and how about we're not even talking about the one that's also a web gem that they'll be showing coast to coast, which is the Dominic Leone blindside stab, with his back to them. I mean, that was a thing that was luck. He stabbed at it and he made the play. That was unbelievable. So there were some incredible plays in this game, really. When you think of Profar and Yaz and Leone, and some of the defense that was played here. I'll say this. I thought that Kapler made a mistake. I mean, you just called up this kid, and he debuted on Sunday, and he hit 2 balls like 110 miles an hour. Put him in the lineup. You're going against a righty. So what? You're going against some nominal righty who was pitched last year in Japan. You're not going up against Drysdale. I mean, my goodness, put him in the lineup. I mean, how many times you hear people say, well, you know what? The last thing we want to do is have him come up here and sit. So, I wanted to see him in the lineup today. And maybe it's for Duggar, maybe it's for Yaz. I saw Yaz as a 320 average career against the Padres. I know they're trying to get him going. So, if you've got a veteran, right, and he's in the room and it's 3:00 and you're like, hey, man, do you want to be in there tonight? Hell yeah, I want to be in there. I'm a lefty. It's a right-handed pitcher. I'm hitting 320 against his team. Let me get my ABs. I'll get right. And so it's early in the year, and he showed some faith. But then I would have had Ramos in there for Duggar then. I would not have sat Ramos today after what he did yesterday. You could argue that he hit the two hardest balls outside of Joey Bart's opening day bomb. The two hardest balls hit in that series came off the bat of Ramos, and he sits today. I thought Kapler. No, I didn't like that today. Well, give me your thought.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You'd sit Duggar. I think Duggar, or even you want to get Yastrzemski going, and you see his defense. So you put him in center, you shift Peterson over to right, and you put Ramos in left, and you sit Duggar down.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. Martinez is not he's not a flamethrower. He's
got a live arm, but so what? He's just a guy.
He had no put away pitch until the fourth inning. He got 2 strikes. If you look at all the hard hit balls there with 2 strikes, he didn't have a put away pitch. He's a good fastball on the edge guy, and he's got a changeup. That's what he's got. And really, they had chances to blast the guy in the first 3 innings, and they just didn't come through. It's tough to get a hit. It's not hard to make contact, and they didn't make enough contact tonight. Now, I'll give you one other one with Kapler. He tried to squeeze another batter out of Wood, and Wood was
against Nola.
Yeah, and he was what? He was around 90, wasn't he? 90 pitches or something.
I think 84. Wood's final numbers for the night, I'll give them to you.
90? You seem pretty close.
Wood's numbers were 4 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 86 pitches.
All right, 86. So you're taking him out. You're going to give him one more batter, and then you're going to let him pitch to Machado, at 90 pitches? No, you're not going to do that. So if you're going to pull him anyway, why not bring in Leone there as opposed to letting Wood pitch to the righty? And he made a bad pitch. He hung it, and Nola didn't miss it, and he knocked it out. So I thought he waited too long with Wood. If you're going to take him out anyway, which you are, then get the matchup you like. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I'll give you another one, though, that really rankles me. It's the 8th. Usually he gets real aggressive. He'll go for it earlier. He won't wait till the 9th inning to go for it if he sees an opportunity. What's better opportunity than bags loaded in the 8th and you put up Dubon? Dubon's going to be in Sacramento in 3 weeks. Where Elliott Ramos needed to bat right there. Now, I'm not saying that Ramos was going to do anything incredible, but Ramos is a better offensive player than Dubon. And the other question I got to ask is, this wasn't the 16th inning or the 12th. The best you got is Mauricio Dubon with the game on the line. I'm watching that at bat, and I'm thinking to myself, Marty, this is the game. Here's the game right here. They may threaten in the 9th. They may not. I don't know that much about Taylor Rogers. Heck, he's obviously quite a bit different than his brother. He's got legit mid-90s stuff. But I was just thinking, go for it right there in the 8th, and I didn't. To me, who didn't play in this game? What were his options when he went with Dubon there?
And Flores, I guess they were left.
Is Flores with the team?
I assume he is, although Kapler alluded to some personal issues. Remember the other day he said
right,
distracted or something like that. So who knows what the situation is? But here's the argument I would make: to bat Ramos for Dubon or somebody else for Dubon at that point. Pierce Johnson was in trouble. He had no for his curveball. He threw Duggar fastball after fastball after fastball after fastball, and then he threw him a curve, and then he missed with a fastball. So you're going to get fastballs. What does Ramos have trouble with? He had trouble with Rogers, who threw him all breaking stuff because it's a major league breaking ball that this guy can command, and Ramos had no idea what was going on. He swung over it. If Ramos hits for Dubon, he's going to get fastballs. from Pierce Johnson. Pierce Johnson is not a finesse pitcher. And the chances of Ramos hitting the fastball, I thought, were better than Ramos hitting the junk that Taylor Rogers is going to throw up there. And if you looked at it, if you look at the at-bat, he swung over everything.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think that is spot on. Then you didn't even include the other important fact here, which is at the point of that at bat, Pierce Johnson was probably 30 pitches into the inning.
Oh, he
He had walked Bart. He struck out Peterson to start the inning, but then Crawford had the single to left after that at bat. Estrada had a fielder's choice. He walked Bart. He walked Duggar. So we're 5 batters into this inning. He's probably at 30 pitches at that point. I mean,
they went out to talk to him. He was in trouble. I want to tell you one other thing, and I saw it tonight. I love Estrada. Right. I like him and all that. Tyro Estrada is never going to see another fastball. They figured it out. He kills a fastball. And when he hit the fielder's choice in the 8th inning, it could have been a double play, really, at that point. Plus, he hit into a double play in the 6th, which got him out of the inning. And he hit
he hit that ball hard, too, by the way.
Fastball. But he hit a fastball in the 2nd inning, and he struck out on breaking stuff in the 4th inning. His last 3 at-bats, if he saw 10 pitches or 12 pitches, he saw 11 breaking balls. And he's going to have to prove that he can hit the breaking ball. Tyro Estrada will not get you watch Darvish tomorrow night and watch the way he pitches him. He will not get another fastball. They will not do it. And that scares me.
That first at bat, you're right. He hit the ball over almost 110 miles an hour off the bat, and it was a fastball.
He never saw another fastball the whole night.
Right.
The whole night. And that's major league pitching.
Well, and that's the advanced scouting report too. But I'll give this kid some time because I actually think he's a bigger talent than people think. And I think he's the starter at second. I think he's the everyday guy at second.
Yeah, there's no one else really.
Yeah.
Put Flores there, he can't move.
No,
can't move.
No,
Dupont can't play. So Estrada is by default your second baseman.
Yeah. Unless Brett Auerbach knocks on the door one of these days. I mean, you saw spring training. Was there anybody that played second in spring that outside of Tyro that you may see later this year? Krazan or any of those guys?
Right, Krazan is in Sacramento. There was no one that I saw. No one at all. So it is Estrada, and and people on Twitter were great, and I love Twitter. And
what were people saying?
Oh, why didn't he trade for a right-handed bat? Why didn't he get more hitting? Why didn't he get more hitting? And they're right.
It's early.
That is true, and he will do it.
Yeah, he's not going to sit around. He's not going to sit around.
He didn't want any of the people who were available over the winter. I guess
you know what I think it's about, Marty? I think it's about roster flexibility. If the back of your roster is all guaranteed with major league deals, every time you want to promote or send guys up and down, you don't have that kind of flexibility. If you have guys that are on the fringes, you can DFA them, you can add this guy, it gives you more flexibility. He likes to surf the wave and find out what's out there and see, first of all, we both know they won 107. So, and everybody who's listening to this knows they won 107. So we're questioning people that won 107 games. So that has to be factored in. But at the same time, you know me. I'll question anybody at any time. I don't care. It's just a matter of what do we really think's going on here? And I just think that they want to take a look at Ramos. And then they wanted to go after Story. I think they were looking for somebody who could play second and maybe play the outfield and give him some offense. Yeah. But it is a weird thing, and I mentioned this the other day. It's like if I told you, "Hey, Marty, I'm test driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris," and then you see me a week later, and I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't get either one, and I'm still driving my busted Chevette." You're like, were you really serious? And I kind of wonder, were they really serious? Were they serious about Suzuki? Were they serious about Trevor Story, or was that lip service and they never planned on it? I don't know. We don't know what their offers were, but they still. All I know is they still need some offense. Well, and I think they'll get some though. I think Ramos will help them, but they need more offense than that.
Yeah, no, Ramos is a work in progress, and we know that. That could take some time. Bart is much better. Bart, to me, it
He looks great.
he looks like a guy you got to deal with in every at bat, and he's going to get better. I think he's going to get really better this year.
He knows the zone.
Yeah, he's going to get better. He looks
patient
to play.
suddenly.
He looks different.
Yeah.
You've got Longoria out, and they were counting on him. You've got Posey gone. So those are two major holes you have in that lineup right now.
Chris Bryant.
And Chris
Bryant. I think Donovan Solano was one of their more dependable hitters. Really.
Good hit. But look at the outfield. What is the outfield that, this outfield? You got Yastrzemski, who had the 24, 25 home runs last year, but he's really, really fallen down. Yeah. You've got Duggar, who's never really established himself. You've got Peterson, who's a platoon player. And you have Ramos, who's a kid up here. So, and you have Slater, who really is a platoon player against lefties. So where is Duke Snyder? Where's Willie Kirkland?
Where's Dan Gladden?
Where's Dan Gladden? Where's Jack Clark?
Where's Jack Clark? Where's the dude?
Give me Darren Lewis.
Chili, are you out there?
Give me somebody who, when you look at their baseball card, you say, okay, they can play. And I think that was the one thing they should have done over the winter. I said it all winter, and I like Suzuki of the Cubs. I thought Suzuki would have been a great fit here. Give me one solid outfielder, then you can mix and match with everybody else. But they're mix and matching now at three positions.
They ought to trade for Brian Reynolds. They ought to trade a couple prospects for Brian Reynolds. Why? Because listen to these numbers, and I looked these numbers up today. You'll find these particularly interesting. These are the splits of their outfielders. Yaz hit 170 against lefties last year. He can't play against lefties. Ruff we know can't play every day in the outfield because he's not a good enough outfielder. Lamont Wade hit 135 against lefties. That's not good. You can't play him against lefties. Austin Slater hit 171 against right-handed pitching. 3 out of 4 pitchers in the world are right-handed. He hit 171 against right-handed pitching. Dubon's a utility guy. Luke Williams is just a utility guy. Jock Peterson is a career 207 hitter against left-handed pitching. Career. So those are your options. Steven Duggar's the only guy who, he hit 262 against righties last year. He hit 232 against lefties. And he's the best defensive outfielder you got. So I understand, the attraction of Duggar, but what they really need is they need somebody who can play every day in the outfield. And maybe Ramos is that guy. And the fact they called him up and he looked so good, I thought, I want to see him every day, at least until he struggles. And he sits today. And I didn't like that.
Rogers, who pitched yesterday for the Marlins, this was not the Rogers who was Rookie of the Year. He didn't have much. That ball was up. It was over the plate. He did not look very good yesterday for some reason. And he got hit a lot after the middle part of the season, and they lost a month because he went home to help his parents. But the hits Ramos had were wonderful, but they were pitches right over the plate. They were not tough pitches that had to dig out, or turn around a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Rogers really didn't have it yesterday. So Ramos has got to play because you have to see what you have with him. Yeah. You have to see what you have because everything in the outfield now, they're platoon guys all over the outfield. And then you're missing Bryant, Posey, and Longoria from your lineup and Solano. So you're in trouble. Belt is a professional hitter. Crawford is slow right now. Peterson has not looked like he's going to do any damage at all.
He'll get it going.
Then you get the kids. I call them the kids because they're not experienced. So Yastrzemski and Duggar and Dubon and people like that. So they're struggling for offense right now.
Yeah.
But question. On the other side, Wood looks solid. He was okay. It wasn't.
He's perfect. Wood. He's going to battle, and you got to guess right. He's going to tire in the middle innings, and then you have to guess right. And tonight they guessed wrong.
Yeah.
and it cost them a run, and they wound up losing by a couple runs. And then Rogers had a mental gaffe that should have, the Padres shouldn't have gotten that one of those runs. That run should have been cut off at the plate. So,
well, we know the pitching's solid.
Yeah, the pitching's going to be solid. They got a parade of relievers. As long as Rodon stays healthy, the pitching's going to be really, really solid. They're deep, and I think the defense will be good over time because I believe the analytics impacts the defense. The question is the offense. Is how much are they going to hit? Can they hit enough to win the number of games it's going to take? Maybe not to run with the Dodgers, but who knows? Dodgers lost that series to Colorado, but maybe enough to make the playoffs, especially in a league where there's an extra playoff team. Well, let's read this one here. Romo 2001 is making a donation. He says, Larry, Marty, good evening. I do not like seeing Ramos being platooned. If he is the outfielder of the future, he should be seeing everyone not being platooned. Well, he's just he's piggybacking kind of the sentiment that we're, and maybe I'm not saying that I know for sure that he's not a platoon guy. We might watch him for 3 weeks. And as Marty said, he's got holes in his swing and he can't hit this and he can't hit that. And suddenly he's a, 240 hitter and he can only be spotted against certain pitchers. And then they got to, so we don't know. He hasn't been exposed to enough at bats and enough advanced reports to know what he is. All I'm saying is I watched yesterday's game. He hit 2 balls 110 miles an hour. I wanted to see him in there. They don't have the kind of team that should ever sit a player who, with his talent, against a mediocre right-handed pitcher.
Especially
he should have played today.
He could have pitched. He could have hit tonight off of Martinez.
Yeah,
Martinez, finesse guy. And he's been gone for 2 years in Japan. Now he's back, and he pumped those first pitch strikes. Boom, boom, boom. Those first pitch strikes were coming in. Then he had trouble putting people away. And then he found it in the 4th or 5th inning. He found the cutter and he got through with it. But for Ramos, it's any young player. You don't want to put him over his head. You don't want to do that. But certainly for a team, they played 4 games now and they've scored 12 runs. And believe me, it hasn't been simple to score 12. They're hitting well under 200. So you get Darvish tomorrow.
Yeah, should be good.
Naya on Wednesday, 2 good pitchers. So you've got Alex Cobb and then Webb, and those should be 2 good games just like this. But you'd like to be able to say, okay, I like the lineup and these guys are going to hit for me. And we can't say that yet.
Let's go to our guest line because we've got former Giant, former Padre. You catch him now probably on Fox Sports in San Diego, FS1 analyst. Guy's done a lot of work and he's played for almost every team in the National League West, but a great former Giant for a couple seasons and 3 stints with the Padres, one of the greatest pinch hitters really in baseball history. It's Mark Sweeney is with us on the Krueg Show. Mark, thanks for stopping by after your post game. Thanks for stopping by with me and Marty Lurie.
Hey, Larry, Marty, thank you for having me on. And just finished our post game show. You saw a close game up there in San Francisco and a nice baseball game.
Yeah, give us your takeaway from it. I mean, really, I think one thing that we saw tonight, and I think we're going to see all summer, is these 2 teams are going to have some very competitive baseball games head to head.
Yeah, and I think, guys, as you know, when you win 107 games like the Giants did last year, even without a Buster Posey, which we made reference to tonight in our pregame show and also during the game, that team is very confident and they put themselves at a different level. But you respect the way they play the game of baseball. They take good at bats. They know how to pitch in certain situations, and you're going to have a dogfight every single night you play the Giants. So they created that last year, and you can see already they bought into Gabe Kapler and the coaching staff and what they have preached. And it's going to be a nice fight. We're in a different position from the Padres' perspective because we have Bob Melvin, and he has really had he's created a good coaching staff, and you see some buy-in early in the season already. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we know it's early in the year, But it's been nice changes that we have seen early in the season.
You know, Mark, I like the base running tonight, tagging up on those 2 foul balls down the right field line without any hesitation. That showed me, the head is in the game.
Yeah.
I like that, and I like scoring on the play back to Rogers, because Rogers could have gone to the plate, and he panicked and dropped the ball and then got the out at first, and that run was huge. So I thought the Padres ran the bases well tonight.
Yeah, it's little details that I think are being executed a little bit better. I mean, first off, tip of the cap to Yastrzemski, the way he played tonight. He played a brilliant right field.
Yep.
You just saw that play, and it's very difficult as an outfielder and a former outfielder to let that drop. But it's a really tough play, and it's a smart play by Ha-Seong Kim to be able to tag and advance to third base, because that was huge. Now you don't have to have a hit to score that run, and that's the way it turned out, because you could see Tyler Rogers probably made a decision that he didn't think Kim was going to advance to try to score. He was looking for that double play, and to the Padres' fortunes, they score the big run there, and they add on one in the ninth. So, the base running, the details, that's something that we're used to seeing the Giants do and what they did last year every single day. But the Padres are starting to do that now, and that's a difference of being a winning ball club.
Mark, what did you think of Profar's catch? I mean, you played the outfield in this ballpark.
Yeah.
You know how difficult it is. That ball's out of a lot of yards, and instead, whatever kept it in, maybe the wind, the sea air, whatever, but it winds up this side of the field, this side of the fence, and Profar made a beautiful diving grab on the track. What'd you think when you saw it?
Well, Larry, I thought two things. I saw the reaction of Craig Stammen after Darren Ruff hit it. And right when he hit it, I thought it was 20 rows deep. I think when you play a day game there, you see that ball definitely go out. But it was really to the good fortune of the Padres. And sometimes you need some breaks like that. But Jurickson Profar is not known for his defense, especially a former infielder, moved to the outfield. He's in there to try to create some more offense. And defensively, he made the play of the game for the Padres and at a big moment.
I thought Cronenworth had a big hit going the other way. I like that. But for me, how about Luke Voigt? He's got like 8 walks, and he's been hitting a pitch in 4 games. And Hosmer, too. Hosmer had a couple of nice at-bats tonight. I mean, Wood put him away with the sliders the first at-bat. But Hosmer looks a little different to me, too.
Yeah, there's some unsung heroes already. We've already alluded to Profar. He had a grand slam the other day to win it. You need those stars. Eric Hosmer has had a really good start to the year. 6 hits coming into tonight. He puts up another 2 tonight. But you're getting some production from others. Doesn't that sound familiar for you guys too? The Brandon Crawford year last year. I don't think many people saw that coming, even though we know he's a spectacular player. You see guys that need to step up and make adjustments in the offseason, and they come to fruition, and you need guys to step up and be those extra pieces that you need offensively.
Give me your thoughts on the 2 catchers. The Giants fans are excited about what we're seeing out of Joey Bart, hitting the ball incredibly hard, showing a dramatically improved batting eye, Mark, throughout the Cactus League, even though it was only a short season. And then on your guys' side, I mean, Nola, I thought it was shocking when the Padres kind of, brought in, kind of switched their catching midstream. Was it a year ago or so? But this kid's got a lot of thump. I thought one of the highlights of the game from the Padres' point of view was the shot he hit off of the starter, and we kind of thought Wood was, maybe Kapler went a little too long with Wood there. Did you think he was going to yank him?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of pitches thrown. I think you credit Nola. We broke that at bat down in our post game because it was really good. He got up 2-0 with a fastball slider combination. He got to 2-0, and then he dropped a slider in there on the 2-1 pitch. I've seen so many hitters at times look for a breaking ball, for a back-to-back breaking ball, and they get beat by that fastball. And to credit Nola, he stayed on the fastball. He got one elevated and put a really good swing on it. So that was a benefit. Like I said, we're getting production.
Oh, did we lose Mark? Mark, we may have lost you.
Yeah.
A hard hit ball in his first at bat.
We lost you for a couple seconds there. Go ahead.
Sorry, the hard hit ball that Joey Bart had in his first at bat, and then he had a 2-0 pitch, his first pitch breaking ball off of Johnson that he just missed. He sat on it, and I winced because it was a really good swing. He swung through it, but that's what you want to do. You want to get a guy in a position that he's made adjustments. He understands the importance of really being able to contribute so much, and everyone understands that if he's going to have a good year, the Giants' offense is going to be that much better.
Mark, let's talk about the eighth inning a little bit. When Johnson walks the bases loaded, there was a moment there they went out to talk to her, but maybe they bring in Lament at that point. Then I said, well, wait a minute. You're bringing a guy who's just coming in cold, the bases loaded in a one-run game, and you walk in the run. You don't want that to happen. So we stayed with Johnson. Were you surprised at all?
I wasn't surprised because, guys, you've seen Dinelson Lamet. Normally a starter. There's still a projection of him being one of those late inning guys because he has such a great swing and miss slider. That being said, you don't want to spike a slider at that point. It's a new role for him. It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. I think they're going to probably put the kid gloves on just a little bit with Dinelson Lamet, but the stuff's there. The swing and miss is very important late in the game. I just don't think he was ready for that, and I think Pierce Johnson has earned that opportunity to try to navigate a tough situation.
Mark, you mentioned Bob Melvin before, and we all know Bob Melvin, Bay Area guy, went to Cal, played for the Giants, and people hold him in the highest of regards. I mean, he's a smart guy, he's a tough guy, he's a fair-minded guy. Why is he the right guy for this job down there? And you kind of referenced it before that he's made an impact. I always felt like the Padres had plenty of talent. It wasn't that the talent wasn't necessarily the issue. So do you think he's the missing ingredient?
Yeah, Larry, I mean, we all know when you're a baseball guy and you've gone through everything that Bob Melvin has done, playing career, coaching, managing at a high level, winning a World Series with the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's so much to love of why you want him to lead a talented group. Talent only takes you so far, and I believe a manager sets a tone, and when you personalize it the way Bob Melvin does and what he has done with the Oakland A's for so many years, we're privileged to have him here. And I say that with all due respect of everyone that's managed here in San Diego, but this is what they needed. They needed a little more structure. They needed people to understand there's a factor of a connection that a manager has a good feel and also can analytically be just as strong. This was important for the Padres to get this hire right. And you've already seen the strength of it at the beginning of the year, but we all know when the Oakland A's kept on persevering and getting into the playoffs, there was a lot of reason. There was talent on the field, but there was also a guy leading them that you really realized this is the right guy to do it. The Padres' best acquisition, in my opinion, is Bob Melvin this year.
Yeah, you got to run the clubhouse, and he does that with respect. And that's the manager's men, and that's the key to being a good manager. What do you think of Martinez tonight? Started off a little shaky, and then he got whatever it was in that fourth and fifth inning. But the story of the game for me tonight, Larry and I talked about it. Giants had run around third with less than 2 out 3 separate times, and couldn't even make contact to get a runner in. And then Rogers did the cha-cha with the ball hit back to him, and that was the run that lost the game. But what about Martinez? Give me your take on him.
Well, I'll say this. I think the Padres are in good position with a number 5 starter that has that type of stuff and that type of grit. That being said, you're right. I thought the Giants missed some opportunities, missed some situations because he made some mistakes early in the ball game that put him in a tough spot. When you're the fifth starter and you're getting out of those scenarios, you got to almost tip the cap and say, you know what, you executed pitches at the right time. I thought he got better with the game as the game went along. I thought he went to his changeup and breaking ball and kind of cut off the plate just a little bit more, where I thought his fastballs was missing early in the game. He was missing on the plate. He was making it comfortable. There's some hard hit balls. But, man, he showed some grit, and not pitching in the big leagues since 2017, I thought he showed very well. If you're getting that from the fifth spot in the rotation, I think you'll be happy with that. I think he's going to navigate some lineups a little bit better. But I'll put it this way. Even though they missed pitches at the beginning of the game, I thought the Giants' approach became better and better as the game went on. And that's what you try to evaluate as much as possible.
Hey, Mark, we really appreciate you stopping by, and just maybe one or two more before we let you go. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about pinch hitting. I mean, I think everybody knows, but, man, when you look up the numbers, it's really impressive. You're second all-time in career pinch hits, 175. I believe first all-time in career pinch hit RBIs I was reading with over 100. So let me ask you about pinch hitting. What, the game's going on. It's the fifth inning. As a pinch hitter, did you thrive when the manager gave you an idea, where he was thinking about utilizing you and against what pitchers, like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Did you not want to know that kind of stuff? And what did you do, let's say, fourth inning, fifth inning, sixth inning, as you're trying to loosen up a little bit, especially on those nights when you played here for a couple of years where it's so freaking cold, and it was a cold night tonight. I mean, Krueg and Cobb were freezing in the booth.
Right,
what do you do? What do you go try to hit off 105 underneath to try to get your reaction time? What kinds of things did you do to prepare? Because obviously you had a lot of success doing it.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. And I got to be honest. First off, you're blessed to have that opportunity, and I use that as motivation. My motivation was to stay in a uniform, to play as long as I could, and that was a vehicle for me to be able to play this great game of baseball. That being said, it took a lot of preparation. There's not one guy that's a pinch hitter or a DH or a guy that gets sporadic at bats that wouldn't want to play every single day. That was my motivation to try to do that. It just didn't happen, and I got the role to be in a major league uniform, to come off the bench and take those tough at bats. So I prepared as much as possible. During the game, my prep was already done. I just had to get loose during the game. So I'd go down in the beauty of these ballparks, the new ballparks. You'd go down to the batting cages and you'd hit off the tee. You'd get loose. You'd try to be a second manager and try to manage the way Bruce Bochy would, or where he would place you in a situation where you're pinch hitting. You watch the starting pitcher or the relief pitcher, and you realize that position was coming up. I had an opportunity to see what was going on. That being said, I watched the starting pitcher. I watched what he did against certain left-handed hitters that would help me if I faced him during the game. And then I also, as soon as a reliever got up, I knew what he had. I knew what he took, what he would do, and if I had some history against him, I would go off that. But really, it was about competing, stepping in the batter's box, competing, and try to do something that can possibly win yourself a game or get you back into the game. I was privileged to put a uniform on, and I tell you what, I had some moments in San Francisco that were something that you start getting praise for what the job you did. But I tell you what, being in front of those fans, even though it was cold at night, they warmed you up. You made understanding that this is a baseball city, and you were privileged to put that Giants uniform on. And I mean that sincerely. My time in San Francisco was so much fun, my teammates and my opportunities, but to put that Giants uniform on, there's a lot of pride in that, and I love the fan interaction, and I felt blessed that people had that much knowledge about the game of baseball, and even a guy coming off the bench and getting some spot starts.
Well, we'll let you. Oh, go ahead, Marty. You have one more for Mark?
Yeah, it's drama. Boy, the pinch hitting, it's always a dramatic moment. And we had one tonight. This Elliott Ramos, and everyone's very excited about him. And he got a couple of hits off Rogers yesterday, and balls that were up. And Larry and I talked about, hey, he should have been in the starting lineup today. So a couple of questions. One, when you get a young player like this, do you throw him in against righties, or do you try to platoon him? And boy, was he anxious when he came up in the ninth inning, because Rogers just threw him breaking stuff that he just couldn't even come close to it. So give me your take on Ramos and how you would handle a player like that, because he's very exciting for everybody.
First off, he's a talented player, and he's gonna get his chances. To put a young hitter in a position like that is very difficult because they're not used to it. In the minor leagues, you're playing every day unless you need an off day. So that is a challenge in itself. This young man is going to hit the ground running. This day and age, as you know, Gabe Kapler likes to play, the positioning game to be able to put guys in positive situations where they're successful. Sometimes you just got to say, hey, listen, has he earned it? Has he had an opportunity to get more playing time? Let's go with it, because that's when you become a star.
Hey, we'll let you go, and we appreciate you stopping by. But give us your thought on Darvish tomorrow night on the way out the door. What kind of spring did he have? What do you expect to see from him tomorrow night?
Well, Darvish had a tough time after the All-Star break last year with injuries, and the record 1-9 in the second half. He came into spring training and he was ready to go. As soon as that lockout was done, it was almost like he was built up for 4 or 5 innings. So it was basically the finishing touches on a motivating spring training, I would say. So you're going to get some good stuff. He was aggressive with his fastball in his first start. You're going to see that nasty slide.
Yeah. Trouble.
We may have. Oh, did we lose Mark? We may have lost Mark. Hey, Mark. We may.
Suffice to say,
I think we lost Mark.
Darvish is going to be trouble. I'll finish the answer. Darvish went 6 no-hit innings in his first start. He's going to be trouble. But Mark would have said, but the Giants don't chase. They're a very patient offense. So Darvish is going to have to bring the ball up a little bit because the Giants aren't going to help him. But I would expect Darvish to have good stuff tomorrow night because he's really tuned in. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, seriously. Thanks to Mark Sweeney. I mean, what a guy. I was just going to say, the guy works a full day, does the show, does the post game, does his own post game, gets in the car to drive home to see his beautiful family, and calls me and you and raps more about the game. So, Mark, thank you very much for coming on the Krueg Show. And hopefully when the Padres and Giants hook up many times this year, we'll get a chance to have him on because, his perspective is great, Marty. That's the beauty. That's what I love about doing post game, when you can mix in a player every now and then and get a perspective from out of town, sometimes on the other team, because every one of these guys has a story, and they got a career arc. They got a spring training story. They got an injury story. There's a whole, there's 25 different stories connected to every ball club. And, you're a huge baseball fan. I'm a huge baseball fan. We read about it, watch it, talk about it. But I mean, nobody knows their team like the people who cover it. So we appreciate that from Mark Sweeney. Hey, Mark says, sorry for dropping off. Thanks for having me on. I'm just going to say, you rock, brother. You rock, brother. Appreciate it. And we'll do it again.
Nice player. He was one of the great pinch hitters in baseball history.
Yeah. Yeah. 3. And not only that, I mean, let's talk about Mark Sweeney for a second. Drafted by the Angels, came to the big leagues with the Cardinals, 3 stints with the Padres. 97, he was on the 98 Padres that won the National League. He faced the Yankees in that World Series. He went 2 for 3 as a pinch hitter in the 98 World Series against the Bombers. And that was maybe the greatest team. That might be the greatest team of our lifetime. I mean, Marty, I don't know. To me, I can talk about different teams. 93, last year was incredible, but the 98 Yankees, I kind of put a little bit above like the 75 Reds and a little bit above like the 86 Mets. And those are the best team. Now you go back to the Orioles and some of these other teams,
A's,
the A's of the early 70s. Where would you put the 98 Yankees with those teams? Because I thought the 98 Yankees was the best team I've ever seen.
yeah, they were loaded with Mariano and Wetland, and of course, the starting pitching and O'Neill and Jeter and all those guys. They were terrific.
Brocious, Knobloch, they just dominated.
Yeah, but don't forget, the Yankees 49-53 won 5 straight World Series. Then you get them back in the World Series starting at 56, and they go right to 62, missing 59, but go to 63, 64. Before
What would you say? Well, I mean, if I say greatest team you've ever seen, who's on the list? I mean, I would say without you telling me, don't tell me first. I would guess maybe Orioles team from maybe 70, maybe the 75 Reds, maybe the 84 Tigers, maybe the 86 Mets, maybe the 90. I'm going to throw the 93 Giants, but as we know, the 93 Jays were probably one of the great teams ever. They won the World Series that year. The 98 Yankees. That's my list. What's your list?
Yeah,
you got somebody before pre-70. Who's the best team of the 1960s?
Well, I'd say the Orioles probably were the best team at the end of the decade. They were a 100-win team with Earl Weaver and the 420-game winners was 71. But the nucleus of that team in 66 came together, and they were fabulous during the 60s. You have to say the Dodgers, they did win with that pitching, but the game was different then. But you can't overlook the Yankees. Let's face it. They just accomplished so much from 1949 to 1964. They were the team, but I tend to go with the Reds. The big
75 Reds.
Yeah, and I know
76 Reds swept the Yankees.
Yeah, Sparky, was a little, he pulled the pitchers and he didn't have the big horses and all that kind of stuff.
But they could run and they had power.
But the mental part of the game, think of the mental part of that team and the players who were on that team. Come on, you had Perez, you had Rose, you had Morgan, Concepcion, Bench, Geronimo. They're just Foster. I mean, they were just people that were just unbelievable. Really.
Yeah.
Griffey.
Perez and Pete and Joe Morgan was an MVP and
it's just
they were awesome.
Played. To me, that was the toughest team. But the A's of 72, 3 and 4. If free agency didn't come in, they probably would have won again in 75 and 76.
What's the best of those teams? 72, 73, 74. 72, they beat the Reds, clinched it in Cincy. 73, they beat the Mets. Is that what it was? And Willie Mays. And then in 74, they beat the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, the story was that there was an article written before that series that the back-to-back World Series champion A's didn't have a single player that could start on the 74 Dodgers.
Yeah.
And let's just say the A's didn't like that.
No,
and didn't Reggie go off in that series?
They played great ball. That's another team. They didn't. Dick Williams and Alvin Dark was the manager in 74. They never beat themselves. They never did. They were that solid. And you had Catfish, you had Ken Holtzman, you had Blue Moon, you had Raleigh, and these players were just unbelievable. Campy, who should be in the Hall of Fame. Campy Campaneris should be in the Dick Green. Of course, in the early 60s, late 60s, they had Rick Monday in there, and then they traded him for Holtzman. I love talking about all this kind of stuff because what got us going in the 98 Yankees, they're right there. They're right there. And it's like going out for a great meal. You had a great meal here. You had a great meal there. Which was the best? Well, they were all terrific. And that's the beauty of baseball, that we can recall these teams and you remember the strength.
If we're talking about the greatest restaurants I've ever been to, you're Mr. Desert. To To me, I had a dinner at a restaurant in Phoenix at the Point Hilton Resort, Tipatillo Cliffs, and it was unbelievable. The place was called A Different Point of View. And have you ever heard of that place? Top of the Tipatillo Cliffs, Point Hilton Resort.
No,
Unbelievable cigar bar, veranda overlooking the entire desert. I mean, it was Marty, 5-star all the way. I mean, cognacs and cigars and
nice.
we got to go. We got to go. Let me hit a couple sponsors here because our sponsors have done great things for us. Dan Coach Emilio, securemoney.com. Danny's a good friend and a sponsor of the show and a great guy. We just had him on the other day. He's a big Giants fan. Give him a call today, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com. And, there's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure your money's safe. So he's got 25 years of experience. He's born and raised in Northern California, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. He's definitely going to help you. He's going to talk to you. Give him a call today, make an appointment, and just talk to him. And make sure you're putting your money where it is secure. Once again, it's Dan Coach Emilio, retirement planning specialist at securemoney.com, 925-628-9966. He's a Bay Area sports fan, and he is a phenomenal retiring planning specialist. So we thank Danny. And then Telemetrics is our other sponsor. And today we want to talk about one of our premier sponsors, Telemetrics. And before I get into the technical details, just talk about who this service is for. It's if you're an orthopedic surgeon, if you're an occupational therapist, if you're a chiropractor, if you're a physical therapist, Telemetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telemetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in clinical and telehealth environments. Using Telemetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all of your sports injuries and physical rehabilitation specialists, be sure that you go to telemetrics.co, just like it's written right there on the screen, TELMETRIX.co, Telemetrics.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telemetrics. All right, let's hit the chat. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people are in the chat right now. Lots of people with a lot of comments. So why don't we go and hit some of these comments and see what people have to say? And if you want to ask a question, we'll open up. We're going to go sports phone 69. Sports phone time. All you got to do is click the link in the chat, and you can, we'll take some calls. You want to take some calls, some video calls? Video calls are very cool. So we took a few this weekend, and we would love to take some now. What'd you think of the game? Do you like the Giants over or under? What'd you think of the decision to sit Ramos? What do you think of the Giants offense? There's a lot of hooks in this thing for sure. Just click that link in the chat. Give us a call. We only have one line. So if you call up and somebody's on the line, it's going to be busy. But first person on the line, and we'll go that way. We'll go that way, and we'll make sure you keep it clean, even though it is YouTube. We don't want to violate any rules or anything like that. But give me we kind of talked a lot about this game already, but give me your 4-game thumbnail sketch, Marty, as we dial up some of these calls and kind of find a few interesting chat comments. Give me a couple thoughts on what the Giants in your mind look like. We're only 4 games in. You know it, and I know it. You don't win pennants in April, but you can lose them in April if you got off to a bad start. Give me your quick thought before we go to our caller there.
As I said, if you're 14-10 or 10-14, it doesn't matter. It's how you win and lose in April because it exposes what you have on your team. I think they faced some very good pitching. They really have. They've faced some real tough pitchers so far and some deep bullpens, and I think that's been the issue. But for me, Rodon was terrific.
Yeah.
Webb is going to pitch here on Wednesday. DeSclafani struggled a little bit. The guy tonight was adequate. We'll see with Cobb tomorrow. It's not hitting right now, and I think that's what I take from the first 4 games. But they faced some good pitching, and I still haven't seen a team yet they say, well, they can't beat that team. So I think it's business as usual.
Yeah, no, I think highlighting Rodon, I think, was smart because Giants haven't had a Rodon. He has an ability to give the defense kind of a day off with how many guys he can potentially strike out. If you can strike out 12 guys, that's a much easier defensive game for your fielders.
24 swings and misses.
Wow!
For the fun of it, I looked up Hosmer yesterday.
Yeah,
the Cubs, and he had a great game and all this 5 innings. He had like 6 swings and misses or 8, something ridiculous. This guy had 24 swings, 5 innings. But you got to be careful with his shoulder because he had shoulder fatigue. And this is not a finesse guy. This guy brings it. So you don't want to overuse him. They got to be careful with him.
Yeah, that's a good point. If he can maintain his stuff, that's the question going into the summer. All right, let's go to the Krueg phone. Romo Fam 2001 joins us, and he was with us this weekend. Welcome back, Romo Fam. How are you?
Thanks. Good, Larry. Marty, it's great to talk to you. I've talked to you quite a few times. I'm Eric from Beale Air Force Base. I used to call
him. Eric is one of my guys.
That's right. That's right.
It's great to be able to talk to you.
He was doing at the Air Force Base. I never understood what he did, but Eric's one of our guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he called this weekend, and he said he was one of your guys. I said, Marty's going to be back with us. So here he is.
Very good.
So, awesome. Romo fam, what did you think of the game tonight and so far 4 games into the season?
The 4 games, the pitching has been looking great. I mean, that was one of the things that wasn't concerning me. The pitching was going to be great. And the thing I was worried about the most the whole off season, and I was kind of talking to my friends about it too, is, the right-handed bat is what we needed to shore up that lineup. And it's evidence. I mean, it's early in the season. It was a short spring training. So I don't know if, some of these guys still need to kind of ramp up a little bit and get used to seeing a ball coming out of their hand. But the hitting is really suffering right now.
Yeah. No question. It's they're not leaning on a lot of guys with track records. I mean, one thing, it's like I would sit here and tell you, question Yaz is going to come out of it and hit 30 bombs and drop. But you know what? We don't know. I mean, he's got kind of a shorter track record of success. So we're hopeful, but no guarantees. And I think it's going to be interesting. And there's not a lot of AAA options. Ramos is one, but that's a big question. I think Marty.
Right. He's still young. Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny because you keep hearing about. I always think that Ramos is some aged veteran because we've been hearing about him for so many years, and he's only 22, so he's still just getting his feet wet. But man, Yaz, I don't know what's going on with him. He's very similar to last year. He didn't have it. I mean, he hit 20+ bombs. But he was just a human strikeout, and it was and I was surprised that they had him leading off today too. I'd expect them to maybe put someone else at a leadoff spot with the struggles that he's been having.
Marty, you think it's just one of those things that it's early season and Kapler just wants to show confidence in some of the veterans out of the chute?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. As Eric says, short spring training. Yastrzemski is just missing his pitch, and they're throwing it high in the strike zone. We know that's his kryptonite. But even when he gets a pitch that's down a little bit, he's popped up just about every ball. He had one first night, but everything else is a pop-up. And that's surprising. But, the other thing is Lamont Wade is out. Lamont Wade is very good at the top of the lineup. La Stella is out. And he's a guy, with those two and Ruff and Belt, I'm telling you, you're looking at 25 pitches for the opposition in the first inning. So they're not clicking yet with that kind of mentality. They need that. They got Martinez up there in the first inning pretty good. Ruff had a good at bat and got it to Crawford. But I think they need Wade and La Stella in the lineup. At least that's what they got.
Those second and third innings, those are rough. There were so many scoring chances in those second and third innings, and they just couldn't get that clutch hit. And real quick, Beatty, he's on the roster. There's been 4 games. We haven't seen one appearance by him. He's taken up a roster spot. I don't know. Are we going to see him anytime soon, you think?
You know what? This is one of the things I'm really looking for, and I'm sure you are as well, and I'm sure Marty is as well. It's like, when are they going to show their hand on Tyler Beatty? He's out of options. He throws 98. He was a former first-round pick of a previous regime. It wasn't their investment, but he still was a first-round pick. He will not clear waivers. I think we all know that's the case. So are they going to give him any look at all? Is he up here for insurance purposes, or are they waiting for a blowout? I get the feeling that if they were getting blown out in a game, you'd see Tyler Beede.
Yeah.
But is that what he's reduced to at this point? He's 98 with 3 pitches. They can't refine him into a closer or setup man. They can't use him as a valuable swing guy. Marty, give me your thought on Beede. I mean, he's too talented to just kind of ignore.
Yeah, but their project right now is Duvall. They got to get him right.
Right.
And so you had 4 games, and every one of them you had 3 one-run games, and this one was really a one-run game. It ended up 4-2. But there's no spot for him in games like that. These are what they call high leverage situations, and you want the guys who you trust. Now, they did get Sammy Long into it tonight, and that's the first time we've seen him. But Garcia and the rest of them, those are the guys you go to in tight games. So, Larry, I think you're right. He's just got to wait his turn, and they got to wait for a spot that's not pressurized and then get him in, because he hasn't pitched enough. He only pitched 4 innings in spring training. So you can't put him in a tough situation.
Romo fan, we'll let you go, but thanks for jumping in with us. And
Marty, it was good seeing you.
I'm glad Eric's been talking to me for years. I appreciate it. Thank you.
When did Eric? What year did you first call Marty?
2011.
Yeah.
2011.
I had just it was I just got stationed at Biel right after from Germany in 2010. Had that great season, and then started listening to radio a lot more. Always listen to KNBR going in and out of work, and I was like, hey, who's this Marty Lurie? I love this guy, man. This is awesome. and I've been calling ever since 2011.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Hey,
Eric,
we would see on the board, Eric, Biel Air Force Base. I knew I was going to get a good call. Very good.
Exactly. Take care, Eric.
Hey, you too. Take care, guys.
All right, there you go. Very cool. We took Eric out of the stream there, but very cool. It's amazing, how many people you've had on the show, Marty, that feel like they know you. They walk, Marty, the whole. I mean, I could sit here. There's literally hundreds of texts from people who are, basically just happy that you're joining us tonight.
Well, we tell it like it is.
Yeah.
I don't have to sugarcoat it. I don't have to make it, well, don't worry, everything's fine.
Right, exactly.
That theme that they do, the GIF or whatever it is with the dog sitting there with the flames, everything's fine. We don't have to do that. We can talk baseball on a realistic level. And that's what I love about this. That's what I did on the show. I wasn't beholden to anybody. And I realize it's a long season. But what we're seeing now is important. And that's basically the type of lineup they're putting out there. The biggest thing I had tonight, really the epiphany, was Estrada. And I realized he's not going to see another fastball.
I heard that. When you said that, it kind of was like, ooh, that's kind of eerie. But you know what? You're probably right. You're probably right.
He's going to have to show that he can hit the off-speed pitch because he's got good wrists and good power.
Yeah.
And he powdered that first one, and then he never saw another fastball the rest of the night. So we'll see what Darvish does with him tomorrow.
I really like him too. I would say some of the positives for the year for me, just, the fact that Elliott Ramos is so lean. Like he, last year he was a little heavier. This year he's lean and he looks great. So I can't wait to see what he does this year. I really love Tyro Estrada, as far as I think he's going to get more of an opportunity now. And I think he can, I didn't know he was that susceptible to the breaking ball. I want to see what it looks like over the next couple of weeks. But I think the other real step forward for me is Joey Bart. I mean, you heard Krueg say it over the weekend. The plate discipline is quite a bit better. And then there was a couple at bats today where he again showed really good plate discipline. And that to me is going to be kind of his ticket to staying in the big leagues. We know he's big and strong and has power. And we know he's got a strong arm and can catch and throw. But it's going to be about, his ability to call a game and his ability to stay above the Mendoza line offensively. One of the things I wrote down in the margin for me to ask you, did you see at one point early in the game, Bart had some issue with the new electronic communication device in the wristband, walked out to the mound. The center field camera showed him saying to Wood, like, this damn thing. He's like pointing to it. And then all of a sudden they're huddling around and they're all looking at this device.
Yeah.
And that's just not good for baseball. What is your thought? I mean, I know I don't want to say old school because I'm for all kinds of new ideas, and so are you. It's just I'm not for dumb ideas, and I'm not sure how much this improves the game. Give me your early assessment based on the people you're talking to and what you're seeing of the new communication device and how that's going down.
Everybody loves it. And
Really?
it's mandated. If there's a runner on second, they mandate that they've got to use it. So I think it's here to stay, but it's in the beginning stages of it.
Yeah.
So you got to be patient. There are going to be glitches along the way. But as I told you the other day, the catcher Stevenson for the Reds was on Twitter, and he did a whole demonstration of pressing the button and hearing slider, high and away. You know, you got to hear everything that was in the little device. So it's here to stay. I think it is. And,
and who has it? There's 5 guys that have communication here. It's like like a middle infielder, the catcher, the pitcher, and the center fielder or something like that.
Right.
The people that potentially could be involved in the play, I guess, in the middle of the diamond.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, we'll see. And is this going to speed up the game? Is it intended to speed up the game, or is it just intended to avoid the effort of trying to steal signs? Because I still see the catcher look up at the hitter, and while he's giving signs, he's looking up at the hitter like, are you looking down at me? So I don't know how much either they're not using it or they're only using it with guys on base. But we're still seeing that cat and mouse game, which takes time.
The issue is the pitcher and catcher, whenever there was a runner on second base, they had to get on the same page. And you invariably saw trips to the mound when there was a runner on second base because they were going to go over the sign. So make sure everybody knows the shortstop would run in. They don't have to do that anymore. So ultimately, that will speed up the game. And I think that's the goal. And they'll speed up the pace of play. The issue for baseball is not, well, is the game going to take 3 hours and 8 minutes or 2 hours and 57 minutes? It's we love the drama. That 7th, 8th, 9th inning, the drama is just enormous, but it's keeping the game moving. And the other thing is all the strikeouts. My God, there were like 28 strikeouts in the game yesterday, and tonight both starting pitchers were 5 or 6 each. So there's just a ton of strikeouts. But this thing, I think, will help eventually, and it'll increase the pace of play. I want to see more balls in play.
I do too.
Strikeouts, they're just nerve-wracking. And, and I said this on the show last year, you got a guy 0-2. I don't want everyone to go to 3-2. Put him away. End it. And
you don't have to throw a waste pitch.
You don't. Brandon he might as well start the count at 3-2.
Oh, I know. It's incredible.
At not chasing. First of all, I want to tell you, I think Bell looks very good. We talked about the look good.
He had 2 hits today and a walk, right? Yeah,
but he's looking good at the plate. Not quite the power yet, but I can see it coming. And the other one is Ruff. Ruff is a guy who gives you a tough at bat. It's hard to put him in that 3-4 spot. You'd like to hide him a little bit down the lineup a little bit. But he gives you that tough at bat. He really does. And I said it earlier, we agreed. That ball that he hit, and Mark talked about Stammen. As soon as it was hit, they showed Stammen, and he did a deep knee bend on the mound.
Right. He thought it was gone.
We all did. I thought it was gone.
Oh, it's gone. That's gone in most yards in the big leagues.
Held up. So Ruff looks good to me too.
Yeah.
Bell looks good to me. Bart looks good to me. And those are basically the hitters that look good. I'm a little concerned about Estrada right now.
Yeah.
The guys that, to me, Peterson doesn't do anything for me right now. Crawford got 2 hits to left, so that's He's got the bat speed at least to do that, and the control. Yaz is lost out there. Duggar, hit and miss. He almost went for the golden sombrero tonight. He came Pierce Johnson. If he would have punched him out, that would have been 4 for him. Dubon hit the ball hard tonight. He had a couple of line drives, and he just missed that foul ball that he's fouled back off Pierce Johnson, and eventually they got him out. But there's a 2-strike pitch that he just missed it, that he fouled straight back. I thought he looked a little better at the plate tonight. He cost him a double play. The ball was hit to him at third, and he couldn't handle it, and they ended up getting the out at first and moved the runners up to second and third. Boy, that third base defense, it is just not there for them. Isn't that something?
Yeah, we might. I think we're going to see Blandino at some point. I think Blandino could help them in that area.
Well, you need Longoria. Come on, that's the guy.
Yeah, they need Longoria, but I mean, Longoria. The last couple injuries Longoria's had, he's missed an enormous amount of time for what doesn't seem like significant injuries. And I'm not saying he's jaking it. I'm not, but it just kind of shows that veteran players have a hard time getting back on the field sometimes after they do get hurt. Let me ask you about tomorrow's starter. It's Alex Cobb against Yu Darvish. Giants fans who didn't go to spring training didn't see Cobb. One of the games, I think it was against the Reds, was broadcast back here, and I did get to see Cobb. And what jumped out to me, Marty, is he's a lot more of a power pitcher than I thought. I mean, he was bringing it pretty much mid-90s. He's got a pretty good arsenal. What did you think of Alex Cobb? How do you look this brief Cactus League schedule?
I only saw him once. And, he struggled a little bit, but he didn't get hit hard. He got out of trouble all the time. The one thing I did notice, and we'll look at it tomorrow, and as I said, he was very, very slow to the plate, and they ran on him a lot. So we'll see what happens if that's something that he's got to deal with. But they love him. He's upper 90s now. When he's healthy, he's a very, very good pitcher. So for a number 5 starter, like Mark said, Martinez for a number 5 starter, he fights you and, he's going to give you a game. You don't want the number 5 starter to go out in the second inning and then kill your bullpen. Then it puts the pressure on your ace to flip the rotation, have him go deep in the game. You'd like your number 5 starter, just hold his own. And I think they've got something with Cobb. I'm anxious to see him pitch tomorrow.
I am too. I really am. I'm eager to see what he looks like. What did you think? What do you think we'll get out of Darvish? I mean, Darvish was sub 500 last year. And yet his arsenal not that long ago was still pretty electric. Is he still the at the top of his game, or has he dropped several notches?
I think he's dropped a lot. I got to watch it to see if they'll chase.
Yeah.
A lot of splits and, a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. And the Giants generally can hit the fastball pretty good. And it's just, getting them off balance. Like Martinez got them off balance on the changeup today, and he got a lot of outs that way. I think I like the Giants against Darvish. Now, maybe I'm crazy. I mean, he threw 6 no-hit innings against Arizona, just can't do anything right. They're not hitting it at all. But we'll see. Darvish is an accomplished pitcher, but he had a very bad year last year, and he's got to show me now in the championship season that he's got it back where he can put the ball where he wants to put it.
We've got our good friend Dan Coach Emilio and one of our sponsors joining us here. Marty, meet Dan. Dan, meet Marty. You guys, you probably are very familiar with the great Marty Lurie, aren't you, Dan?
Oh, absolutely. I've talked to Marty several times on the air. Yep, on KNBR.
So, Danny, what'd you think? What'd you think of the game tonight?
Oh boy, well, I was there again, all 4 games this
Cold
week.
Night, huh? You look like you're thawing out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still thawing out. Yeah, it was pretty cold. I tell you, just timely hitting is not happening. I was a little surprised that Dubon batted with bases loaded there with Flores on the bench. It seemed like a natural spot to bring Flores in. He's a clutch hitter. You can put him back at third, bring Dubon out. I know Dubon had hit the ball pretty hard tonight a few times, and that was good. So he was seeing the ball, but you know, you got a guy on the bench like Flores. He's an RBI guy. He makes contact, and you just needed one run. And
I agree. I agree.
You know,
we already kind of hit that as far as like one of the subplots. I wouldn't, you're mentioning Flores. I was saying Ramos. Either way, yeah. I wanted to see somebody better than Dubon in that spot. That was the game. The game was on the line right there in the 8th.
Yeah,
and he got blown away on that last pitch. I didn't see. It looked like a fastball. I didn't see the location of the last pitch because we were getting the above head angle on TV.
Yeah.
But was that a high pitch, a low pitch?
It looked a little high. It looked a little high to me across the letters. But with I guess Rogers is going on the maternity list after tonight's game. Yeah. So what I was thinking there, and I was going through the bench in my head there because I didn't have a score sheet there, but I was thinking what they're really lacking right now, and Marty mentioned it earlier with Wade and LaStella, but I wouldn't be surprised if they bring up Vossler tomorrow because they have no left-handed bat with this lineup. None. There's nobody on the bench with a left-handed bat that could come up in it against once they got into the bullpen, and they were only throwing right-handers all night until the 9th with Rogers. So I got to believe they need another left-handed bat unless they bring up another pitcher but there's not a left-handed bat on the bench when they face a righty because they put Yaz.
Well, they started them all today.
They started them all.
They started them all today. Yeah.
And that's what's missing this year because last year you had Wade and LaStella and you had guys you had depth pieces.
Yeah. I mean, look at Ruff. I mean, Ruff can't show me when are they going to give Ruff a day off? I mean, he's going to need a day off. He's not an everyday 162 guy, but on this team, he kind of has to be. I mean, they almost need Ruff guys to hit like 3, 4, 5 almost every day on this team.
Right.
It's going to be very difficult for them to rest a guy like that.
Well, they really the pieces that are hurting this year is the depth because the starting lineup they put out there is okay. But it's the bench. And last year you had a lot of depth because you could put lefty, righty, all the way through. And right now, with LaStella out, and he works the pitches. He gets in pitchers into deep counts, and Belt does the same thing. Belt's always good for a 3-2 count almost every time, and. But, Belt's starting to get his timing down. He's only had probably 20, 25 at-bats, including spring. So he's starting to come around and not worried about him at all. Crawford's starting to hit the ball. He hit the ball well tonight.
He looked good.
And, Ruff's hitting the ball well. I mean, he got robbed yesterday by Soler at the fence, and then that catch by Profar tonight was amazing.
Wasn't that incredible?
Oh yeah, I was watching. I says, "That's gonna fall in. That's gonna fall in," and then it just hung up too long. I think it's just the ball was just dying out there tonight. It looked like, except Nola's, he crushed that thing.
What's the best defensive play of the night, guys? You go Yaz on the head first dive, Yaz into the net, Leon with the blindside stab, Profar on the on the other side, Profar's catch.
Yeah, it changed the game.
Yeah, it did. It changed. It was
the most important catch.
Yeah, the thing about
forgetting
which one
is Luke Williams. He's on the bench, but he will only play against left-handed pitching. So I think you bring up a good point about Vossler because I don't know what's up with Flores. I don't know if he's got a personal problem. We have to find. I don't know if hopefully the writers asked the question tonight. Why not Flores?
Yeah.
Why are you putting Ramos up when you have Flores who could, take the ball out and he's a veteran? You want that guy up. So I don't know what was up with Flores, but if Flores is not available for some reason, well, then you need a left-handed hitter to play third, and that would be Vossler. So that's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, I think They're just going to have, what are we hearing with La Stella and Wade? Are we hearing 2 weeks roughly, or what's?
Stella's got the Achilles, and that's, that guys. First of all, he's a good offensive player, but I mean, this is a marathon. I mean, what's the likelihood that they're going to be able to navigate a 162 game season with a guy who in April at the beginning of this marathon has Achilles issues, and he's an infielder and he plays baseball, and it's all about these, sprinting and stopping and I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that to me seems really, really problematic. As far as Wade, he's got a knee problem. Marty, I don't know, is it a chronic knee or is it an injury?
The first time it's happened. He's going to do some running next week. I think it sounds like longer than I thought when I first heard the injury, just a bruise, on his knee, basically. So it sounds like he's at least a couple of weeks away. He's going to need a rehab assignment too. And La Stella, there's no timetable for me with him, because he can't run. He can't. That Achilles is really bothering him. Maybe he can DH, but I don't think we're going to see him in the field anytime soon.
Right. Yeah, I don't see.
I would say if you're a Giants fan, guys, check the waiver wire every day. Check the transaction list every day. Why? Because they're going to be guys are coming up, guys are going down. They're going to need reinforcements. They're going to have to use. They don't have a lot of great 40-man roster depth. And that's why they're being already forced to use guys. But the thing is, there's not an endless parade of guys at AAA ready to be called up that are going to impact this situation. So, as players get DFA'd around baseball, you may see Farhan take flyers on a few of them and try to, it seems like the mode, especially in April and May, is take some flyers on guys that get DFA'd and see if you can stash them at AAA or stash another guy at AAA and kind of increase your inventory by doing something like that. That seems to be their kind of modus operandi, right? That they're always looking to kind of, they'll make a move today for a guy that they plan on calling up in 3 or 4 weeks. What do you guys think? I mean, it sounds like,
it's only 4 games, Larry.
Yeah, it's 4 games in, but I mean, it's going to be a long season then, and they don't have great depth. So it's going to be,
but these are your guys.
Yeah.
And you got to give your guys a chance to make it happen. So I say sit back, just let them play. And, after 30 games, then we'll see where they're at that point. But, you just can't move stuff around right now.
What do you guys think of Justin Upton, though? Because he was DFA'd. Marty, you've been watching him. Is he done? I mean, he hit 2-0 something against righties last year.
Yeah, maybe he could be a Pat Burrell. Maybe they could put him out there. They get him for nothing, basically. They need a right-handed bat. I would say it's not the end of the world. Now, Burrell went to Fresno, remember, and he, took a few at bats, or Sacramento.
2010, yeah.
Yeah, and then he came up. So, yeah, if Upton's willing to do that and show that he could play, why not? I'd give him a chance.
Matthew says Larry was freaking out after Game 2 loss. Yes, I was. No, I just don't think my whole thing is I kind of been saying it this offseason that I'm kind of a little bit concerned about the offense. And the fact is they had that great start from Rodon and they kind of wasted it. But it's a long year. This club was really good in almost every category offensively last year.
These are their guys. They won 107 games.
Yeah.
So
and they won 107 last year and started 2-2, I believe. I know they lost 2 or 3 in Seattle to open up the season.
The first one was brutal. The first
loss.
Yeah. So I say just let's sit back, Peterson, give him a chance, and Belton, the whole group of them. Just give them a chance and let's see where they're going to go. Don't kill the pitching. Let these guys. There was a short spring training. Keep the pitch count, I think, reasonable. You got 15 pitchers. You can have them till May 1st. Use them. Brebbia, I guess Dan will come back tomorrow when Rogers goes on paternity.
Okay.
I assume Brebbia comes back from.
So he may take that spot. Yeah.
I assume that's probably what's going to happen there. And then who knows? Maybe Flores will go on the some sort of list. I don't know. It's amazing to me that Flores didn't play tonight, in any pinch hitting role tonight, because he really could have hit for Dubon. He could have, but that's
that
not,
was
that's not what Kapler does. Kapler doesn't say to Dubon, well, you're a right-handed hitter. It's and I'm going to bring in another right-handed hitter. He doesn't do. If he had a left-handed hitter, he could do it. But for a right-handed, he doesn't do that to players. He does not do that. But you could have used, and we love Ramos, and I know we're all excited about him. But you have the tying run at the plate, and if you've got Flores available, how does Flores not hit there? I mean, we love Ramos, but how does Flores not hit? So there must be some story.
Yeah, there could be some.
He probably wasn't available. Or he probably said to him, "Hey, we're not going to use you tonight." I mean, it's got to be something like that, because you would think if you got three right-handed bats there, Flores, Ramos, and Dubon, and the one thing you would think is that Flores and Ramos would be the ones who would get the at-bats, not Dubon. It didn't happen that way, so maybe he said something to Dubon. Maybe he talked to him in the pregame. That will probably shake out in the next 24 hours. Guys, let's call it a night. We're 90 minutes in, and it's been a fun night. We had Mark Sweeney on. We had a lot of people in the chat. Thanks to everybody who participated in the chat. And Danny, thanks for jumping in with us as well.
Yeah, I was able to. Thank you. I wasn't able to get on earlier because I was driving home. But I don't know if you guys talked about it. But there was one other situation in the game that I was kind of surprised that Wood went back out there in the fifth with 80 pitches, because you figured he wasn't going to throw any more than 5 to maybe 8 pitches at the most that inning, and that's the inning. He gave up the gopher.
Yeah, Marty brought that one up actually. It's funny. I'm always like, hey, go longer with the starters, but a certain right-handed bat, against a left-handed guy who really relies a lot on that first and second time through fooling people. It's difficult to fool really good right-handed hitters when you're a left-handed pitcher a third time around. And Nola,
you're going to pull him. Yeah. You're going to pull him anyway.
Right. He pulled him. Yeah.
So why not get your platoon? Kapler loves the manager of the year. He loves that platoon advantage.
Right.
So you're going to pull him anyway. So why not pull him there?
Why not just start the inning with Littell?
That's what I was really surprised, because going back to Woods with the Dodgers, he's never been that great the third time through. So, facing a powerful guy like Nola, and,
he got Grisham, the left-handed hitter. He got him on a fly to left. And then he got behind on Nola, and Nola didn't miss it.
Oh, but right. Hit it halfway up the bleachers, man.
At that point, even if he gets Nola, he's still got to deal with Machado. And he can take him out. So get him out of there.
Yeah, and I think what Gabe does sometimes, because I watched him do this, and he did it with let's see, was it game Rodon pitched? He got through 5.
Game 2, yeah.
And then I think he likes to give his starters a chance to get a decision.
Of course, yeah, of course, and every manager loves that.
Yeah.
And if this was Game 6 of the World Series, or September, you would have made the move. And
absolutely.
April, necessarily make the move.
Yeah, and I think that's good, because in a way the players appreciate that, and they want to play. They want to play for a manager like that gives them opportunity. Some of these guys got in their contract, they get so many wins, they get a bonus, or so many innings pitched, and so I think Gabe's becoming more of a player's manager in a way, especially with the veterans.
Yeah.
Well, and you do things in April that you don't do in the bulk of the year, because you're trying to show confidence. Yeah. Sometimes it's in a young player. Sometimes it's in a veteran player. Everybody gets a lot of at-bats in spring training, and then sometimes those at-bats go away in the regular season, and you don't want to ice people. So it's hit and miss with some of those decisions early on. The at-bats are tough to come by. There are no more split squad games, and you got to make tough decisions, and you want to keep you got to bring your team along, all 25, in this case 28, from April through September. So it's this is a enormously challenging thing. Couple thoughts on the text line. I like Marty on post game on YouTube. Yes, I do too. Thanks, King Tones. Let's see a couple more before we call it a wrap. There was a lot, we've got this one from Matthew. Says, great chat, great stream. Romo 2001, great stream. I love the post-game breakdown. A lot of good stuff today. I'm really enjoying the live streams, but it's really great in the post-game. And then today, getting a chance to talk ball with Marty, who's obviously knows it like the back of his hand. And then we also got the incredible thing of having to have Mark Sweeney. Look at it. There's the back of his hand.
Right here.
But getting Mark Sweeney to call in, that was very cool.
Let me ask you this. Now, we're going to end right now.
Yeah.
Do you start the 49ers show right now?
Yeah, exactly.
You actually go to sleep before you come on again.
And good night, Giants fans. Hello, Niner fans. Yeah.
And then when you're done with that, you'll figure the Warriors out, right?
Actually, Saturday night we have our first post-season Warrior game. So really? Saturday, I think Giants play Cleveland. Is it a Saturday day game, Marty?
Giants, Cleveland. Yes, I come on at 11 a.m. So it's a 3:15 start for us.
Yeah, 3:15.
Yeah, 3:15.
So I don't know. We'll see. I may have to do a combination Warrior watch party and because it's a Warrior playoff game at 5:30. So I'm going to go post-game Warriors on Saturday, but I'll probably do a post-game Giants as well. So
you'll be able to do both.
Yeah.
The Giant post-game will start at 6:15, and the Warrior post-game will start about 7:45.
That's right. That's right.